The Silent Watchers. The quantum observatory hung silently in the void between Jupiter's moons, its advanced sensors reaching across vast stretches of spacetime. Dr. Maya Patel stood at its central control hub, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display, showing yet another atrocity committed by the Dominion. A desert world, once teeming with life, reduced to glass and ash by their antimatter cannons. "Log another one," she said quietly to her AI assistant. "That's the third civilization they've eliminated this standard year." For 30 years, humanity had maintained this facade of technological inferiority, while the rest of the galaxy saw Earth as a backwater world still struggling with chemical rockets and planetary colonization. The truth was far different. The discovery of quantum threading in 2045 had changed everything, allowing humanity to observe events light years away in real time. What they saw shaped their entire technological development. The Dominion, a species of crystalline beings who viewed organic life as inherently inferior, had spent millennia expanding their empire through force. Their ships, massive geometric structures of living crystal, brought either submission or extinction to every civilization they encountered. But they had never encountered humans. Maya's wrist computer chimed with an incoming message from General Zhang at Solar Defense Command. Her heart rate spiked as she read it. "They've changed course. A Dominion fleet is headed for Sol. Estimated arrival: 6 months." She took a deep breath, straightening her shoulders. "Send the signal," she ordered. "Operation Lighthouse is now active." Across the solar system, hidden facilities began powering up. Within the asteroid belt, massive fabrication complexes emerged from their camouflaged states. Beneath Earth's oceans, quantum power plants surged to life. On Mars, buried beneath the red sands, automated defense platforms activated their targeting systems. For 3 decades, humanity had prepared. They had watched, learned, and built. Their technology had developed along paths the Dominion couldn't comprehend. Instead of crystal-based computation, they had mastered quantum entanglement. Rather than antimatter weapons, they had developed ways to locally alter the laws of physics themselves. Maya opened a channel to Solar Defense Command. "General Zhang, the Quantum Observatory Network is fully operational. We'll have real-time tracking of their fleet movements." "Excellent," Zhang replied, his weathered face appearing in a hologram. "How many ships?" "Initial count shows 300 capital ships, roughly 2,000 support vessels." Maya manipulated the holographic display, highlighting key tactical information. "But sir, something's different about this fleet. They're not using their standard invasion configuration." Zhang's eyes narrowed. "Explain." "They're bringing their world breaker." Maya's voice was steady despite the gravity of her words. "They're not planning to conquer Earth. They mean to destroy it." The general was silent for a long moment. They've never deployed a world breaker against a pre-FTL civilization before. Something's made them nervous. "Sir," Maya said, a slight smile touching her lips, "I think they finally noticed that all their long-range scouts near our system have been disappearing. Then they're scared." Zhang's face showed grim satisfaction. "Good. They should be. Activate the ghosts." Throughout the solar system, invisible ships powered up their engines. These vessels, incorporating humanity's most advanced technology, were completely undetectable by conventional means. Their hulls, composed of metamaterials that bent light and other forms of energy around them, made them invisible not just to sensors but to the naked eye. Maya watched as hundreds of status indicators turned green on her display. 30 years of preparation were about to be put to the test. Humanity had hidden their true capabilities for so long, watching in silence as the Dominion committed their atrocities. But now, finally, they would show the galaxy that there was another way. "All ghosts report ready, sir," Maya announced. "Phase 1 of Operation Lighthouse is complete." "Very good." Zhang's expression was resolute. "Now we wait. Let them come to us, thinking we're helpless. Let them come expecting to find another primitive species to destroy." His eyes gleamed with determination. "Instead, They'll find humanity, and we will show them exactly what we've learned from watching their cruelty all these years." Maya nodded, turning back to her displays. Above her, the Quantum Observatory continued its silent vigil, watching as the Dominion fleet approached, completely unaware they were heading not toward an easy conquest, but toward a reckoning 30 years in the making. The breaking point. The first Dominion ships emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Kuiper Belt, their crystalline structures refracting the distant sunlight into rainbow patterns. To their sensors, the Sol system appeared primitive, a handful of small colonies on Mars and the Moon, chemical rockets shuttling between them, and an Earth still dependent on fossil fuels and nuclear fission. Fleet Commander Xyrix, his crystalline form pulsing with anticipation, observed the tactical display. Such primitives, he communicated to his crew through resonant frequencies. They haven't even realized we're here yet. Deep within Cheyenne Mountain, General Zhang watched the real-time feed from the Quantum Observatory network. "They're proceeding exactly as predicted," he said to the assembled Joint Chiefs. "Their arrogance blinds them to our preparations." Maya's voice came through the quantum-encrypted channel. "Sir, the world breaker is moving into position. They're preparing to make an example of us." Zhang nodded. "Just as we wanted. Colonel Chen, you may proceed with Phase 2. Sarah Chen, commander of the Ghost Fleet, sat in her command chair aboard the invisible vessel Shadow of Dawn. Her crew, handpicked from the world's finest military personnel, waited at their stations. For years, they had trained in simulators, preparing for this moment. "All Ghost Fleet vessels," she transmitted through the quantum network, "execute Operation Lighthouse Phase 2. Remember your training. Today, we show the galaxy that humanity will not stand idle in the face of tyranny." Across the solar system, the invisible ships began to move. They took up positions around the Dominion fleet, their advanced sensors mapping every weakness in the crystalline vessel's structure. The World Breaker, a massive ship capable of destroying planets, hung in space like a sword of Damocles, its weapon systems powering up. Xyrix received the first warning that something was wrong when 3 of his scout ships simply ceased to exist. Not destroyed. There was no debris, no energy signature, nothing. They simply vanished. "Impossible," he resonated, his crystalline form vibrating with confusion. "Launch a full sensor sweep. There must be." His orders were cut short as the Ghost Fleet decloaked simultaneously. Hundreds of ships, their hulls seeming to materialize from nothing, surrounded the Dominion fleet. Their design was unlike anything the crystalline beings had ever encountered. Organic curves blending with geometric precision, hulls that seemed to bend reality around them. "This is Colonel Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force." Her transmission cut across all frequencies, translated perfectly into the resonant language of the Dominion. "You have entered restricted space. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded." Xyrix's response was predictable. "Primitive organics. You dare to threaten the Dominion. The World Breaker will reduce your planet to atoms." The massive weapon platform began to move, its crystal structure channeling enormous amounts of energy. But as it prepared to fire, something unexpected happened. The laws of physics around it shifted. The quantum manipulation fields generated by the Ghost Fleet created localized areas where the normal rules of reality bent. The World Breaker's energy weapons, dependent on specific physical constants, suddenly found those constants changed. The massive beam of destructive energy backfired, creating spreading cracks throughout the crystalline structure of the ship. "Impossible." Xyrix resonated in panic. "Their technology. This cannot be." Sarah's voice was calm but firm. "We have spent 30 years studying your weaknesses, watching as you destroyed civilization after civilization. We could have run. We could have hidden. Instead, we prepared. And now, we're going to show you exactly what humanity is capable of." The Ghost Fleet moved with perfect coordination, their quantum-based weapons targeting specific frequencies that shattered crystalline structures without destroying them. They weren't just fighting. They were conducting a precise operation to disable and capture the Dominion ships with minimal loss of life. Maya's voice came through Sarah's command channel. "Colonel, the Quantum Observatory Network is detecting massive energy buildups in their fleet. They're attempting to self-destruct rather than be captured." "Not today," Sarah responded, activating her ship's primary system. Reality itself seemed to ripple as the Ghost Fleet deployed their most advanced technology, quantum stasis fields that froze time itself within small areas. The Dominion ships found themselves unable to complete their self-destruction sequences, trapped in temporal bubbles that gave the human forces time to board and secure them. In the span of 30 minutes, the mighty Dominion fleet was neutralized. Not destroyed, but captured. A demonstration of power far more frightening to the crystalline beings than simple destruction would have been. General Zheng's voice carried satisfaction as he addressed the Joint Chiefs. "Phase 2 complete. Now we show the galaxy that humanity's strength lies not just in our ability to fight, but in our capacity for justice. Colonel Chen, prepare your teams for boarding operations. It's time to free their slaves and show the Dominion a better way." Ripples across the stars. News of the Dominion fleet's defeat spread across the galaxy like a shockwave. At first, most species dismissed it as impossible. The idea that a pre-FTL civilization could not only resist but capture a Dominion battle fleet, including a world breaker, seemed absurd. But the evidence was undeniable. On the enslaved world of Nexus Prime, Kala watched the contraband transmission with her 4 eyes wide in amazement. Her species, the Arctians, had been among the first to fall to the Dominion centuries ago. The crystalline overlords had turned their once beautiful world into a mining colony, forcing them to extract the rare minerals needed for Dominion technology. "Is it true?" she whispered to her clutchmate, Vren. "Have they really found a way to defeat them?" Before Vren could answer, their conversation was interrupted by the sound they had learned to fear, the resonant hum of approaching Dominion overseers. But something was different this time. The crystalline beings were moving quickly, almost frantically. In orbit above Nexus Prime, the reason for their panic became clear. Ghost fleet vessels emerged from quantum space, their impossible technology allowing them to bypass the planet's defensive grid entirely. Leading the Liberation Force was the Shadow of Dawn, with Colonel Chen commanding the operation. "All ships, execute containment protocols," Sarah ordered. "Remember, we're here to free these people, not to exact revenge. Quantum suppression fields at maximum. Don't let a single overseer self-destruct." Maya's voice came through the command channel from the Quantum Observatory back in Sol. "Colonel, I'm detecting unusual energy signatures from the surface. The Dominion is attempting to activate some kind of failsafe device. They're trying to kill their slaves rather than let them be freed." Sarah realized, her jaw tightening. "Not on my watch. Ghost Fleet, implement Operation Safeguard immediately." The human ships deployed their most sophisticated technology yet. Quantum fields expanded across the planet's surface, creating zones where certain laws of physics simply ceased to function. The Dominion's technology, dependent on specific physical constants, became useless. Their crystalline forms, unable to properly resonate, found themselves unable to even communicate. On the surface, Kala watched in awe as the overseer pursuing them simply stopped, its crystalline form becoming dormant. Across the planet, the same scene played out thousands of times. 3 decades of studying Dominion physics had given humanity the perfect countermeasure to their technology. But it was what happened next that truly showed the galaxy why humanity was different. Instead of destroying the helpless Dominion forces, teams of human peacekeepers began landing across the planet. They brought with them not just weapons, but medical supplies, food, and most importantly, hope. Sarah Chen herself led the first team into the main mining complex. She found Kala and Vren hiding among the machinery, their bioluminescent patches dim with fear. "You have nothing to fear anymore," Sarah said, her translator converting her words into the musical language of the Arctians. "We're here to help." Kala stepped forward cautiously. Why? Why would you risk yourselves for us? Because that's what humans do, Sarah replied simply. We watch, we learn, and when we see injustice, we act. We've spent 30 years preparing not just to fight the Dominion, but to help rebuild everything they've destroyed. As if to emphasize her words, more human ships appeared in the sky. These weren't warships, but massive vessels carrying supplies, medical equipment, and construction materials. The humans had come not just as liberators, but as helpers. Colonel, Maya's voice came through again. We're detecting similar situations on 12 other Dominion-controlled worlds. They're all requesting our help. Sarah looked at the freed slaves gathering around her, seeing hope begin to replace fear in their eyes. Tell them help is coming. The Ghost Fleet will split into task forces. We'll free every world, one at a time if we have to. As news of the liberation spread, more and more enslaved species began to resist their crystalline overlords. The Dominion's perfect order began to crack, their control slipping away as humanity's quantum technology negated their every advantage. But it was not the technology that truly defeated them. It was the sight of humans working tirelessly to heal the wounds of centuries of oppression, showing compassion even to captured Dominion forces that dealt the final blow to their belief in their own superiority. The Liberation Fleet. 6 months after the liberation of Nexus Prime, the combined fleet hung in orbit above Crystalia, the Dominion homeworld. But this was no longer just a human fleet. Ships of dozens of designs filled space, vessels from every species that had joined the liberation effort, each contributing their own unique technologies and perspectives. On the bridge of the Shadow of Dawn, now the flagship of this unprecedented alliance, Sarah Chen stood with representatives from 20 different species. Among them was Kala, now serving as the Arxian ambassador to the alliance. The Dominion's last fortress, Kala observed, her bioluminescence pulsing with anticipation. They've retreated here with everything they have left. Maya's hologram appeared in the command center, her quantum observatory network now expanded across the galaxy. They've activated every defensive system they have. The entire crystalline planet is essentially one massive weapon. Sarah nodded, studying the tactical displays. Then we'll do what humanity does best, find a way to turn their strength into a weakness. The Liberation Fleet had grown far beyond its original scope. Human quantum technology had been shared with their allies, combined with the unique capabilities of each species. The Arxians' understanding of crystalline structures, the Voleri's expertise in energy manipulation, the Xinthu's mastery of gravity, all had been integrated into something entirely new. All ships, this is Colonel Chen, Sarah broadcast to the fleet. Today we end the Dominion's reign of terror, but remember, we're not here for revenge. We're here to build a better galaxy. The fleet moved into position, implementing strategies developed through countless simulations. The Dominion's defenses were formidable. Energy beams capable of splitting planets, gravity wells that could crush capital ships, crystalline fighters that could reform after being destroyed. But they had never faced anything like this combined fleet. Human quantum manipulation fields worked in concert with Arxian resonance disruptors and Voleri energy sinks. Where the Dominion expected their attackers to be destroyed, they instead found their weapons rendered useless by localized changes in physical constants. The crystalline leaders, their massive forms housed in a vast citadel at the planet's core, found themselves experiencing something they had never known before. Fear. Their perfect order, their belief in their inherent superiority, was being systematically dismantled by a coalition led by a species they had dismissed as primitive. Their outer defenses are down, Maya reported, but they're preparing something massive. The energy readings. I've never seen anything like this. The crystalline planet itself began to change, its entire structure reorganizing into what appeared to be one massive weapon. They would destroy their own homeworld. Kela asked in horror. No, Sarah said firmly. They're trying to force us to destroy them, to prove that we're no better than they are. She opened a channel to the entire fleet. All ships, implement Operation Mercy. What happened next would be remembered for generations across the galaxy. Instead of attacking, the Liberation Fleet created a massive interlocking network of quantum fields. The laws of physics within these fields were carefully manipulated not to destroy, but to preserve. The massive weapon began to crystallize in a new configuration, its destructive energy transformed into a stabilizing force. What are you doing? The resonant voice of the Dominion leadership echoed across all frequencies. Showing you a better way, Sarah replied. Your civilization doesn't have to end. It just has to change. The quantum fields continued their work, restructuring the crystalline world not into a weapon, but into something new, a place where organic and crystalline life could coexist. The human fleet had turned the Dominion's final act of destruction into an opportunity for transformation. A new dawn. 1 year after the transformation of Crystalia, representatives from across the galaxy gathered in the newly constructed Harmony Spire, a massive structure of crystal and organic materials that served as a symbol of the new age. The chamber was filled with beings of all forms, crystalline, organic, energy-based, and even some that defied traditional classification. Maya Patel stood at the podium, her quantum observatory network now serving as the foundation for a new galactic communication system. We gather here today not to celebrate a victory, she began, but to mark the beginning of something greater. The transformed Dominion leaders, their crystalline forms now emanating softer, more harmonious frequencies, sat among the delegates. They had learned that their quest for perfect order had led them away from true growth and evolution. The human demonstration of power through mercy had fundamentally changed their understanding of strength. Sarah Chen, now Admiral of the Combined Fleet, stood with Kala and other representatives of formerly enslaved species. Together, they had built something unprecedented. An alliance based not on fear or dominance, but on mutual respect and cooperation. The quantum technology that humanity developed in secret, Maya continued, was never meant to be a weapon. It was always meant to be a bridge, a way to understand and interact with the universe in new ways. We hid our advancement not out of fear, but because we knew that true progress requires wisdom as well as knowledge. The gathered delegates watched as a holographic display showed the transformation spreading across the galaxy. Former Dominion worlds were being rebuilt, their crystalline technology repurposed to heal rather than harm. The Ghost Fleet, once an instrument of liberation, now led missions of exploration and scientific discovery. But our greatest achievement, Maya said, her voice filled with emotion, isn't technological. It's the proof that different species, different forms of life, different ways of thinking, all can coexist and thrive together. As if to demonstrate her words, a group of young Arctians entered the chamber, their bioluminescence synchronized with the pulsing of crystalline beings who had once been their oppressors. They were part of a new generation growing up without fear, learning to combine the strengths of different species in ways their ancestors could never have imagined. The stars once trembled at the approach of Dominion ships, Maya concluded. Now they shine witness to something far more powerful, the light of billions of beings working together to build a future worthy of all our dreams. As her words echoed through the chamber, the Quantum Observatory Network detected something new at the edge of known space. Signs of other civilizations, watching and wondering about this unprecedented alliance. Humanity had not just changed the fate of one galaxy. They had shown that there was always another way, always a path forward that didn't require destruction. The age of terror was over. The age of cooperation had begun. And it had all started because humanity had chosen not just to watch, not just to hide, but to stand up and say, enough. In the end, it wasn't superior technology or military might that had transformed the galaxy. It was the uniquely human combination of preparation, innovation, and most importantly, compassion. They had conquered the stars not through terror, but through hope, and in doing so, had shown the galaxy what humanity truly stood for.